Hello, everybody, and welcome to Common Running Mistakes. My name is Dr. Cameron Garber, and I'm here with an amazing runner, Preston Johnson. He's been on a few episodes early on with Common Running Mistakes, and so we're happy to have him back. He is a great runner, just had an awesome race. Which race was it again?
The Buffalo Run 25K out in Antelope Island.
Yeah, so he won. So pretty awesome. Set the course record, which is also pretty awesome at a 25K. To crush it that well is pretty awesome, especially a trail race, which, up until just the last couple of years, you were more of a road and track athlete. And so to transition to trail and kill it as much as you have is pretty fun.
Yeah, adjusting to some of the hills and keeping a good pace, climbing up the side of a mountain is a lot different than,
for sure,
running under 5 minute pace on the track for,
right.
6 miles is quite a different landscape.
Not all just left-hand turns.
Yeah, turn in every direction on the trails.
Right. And so, pretty fun. So we've got him in here on Common Running Mistakes because he has gathered a ton of experience as an athlete. And so, this whole month, our theme has been about preparing for race day. He's obviously doing pretty well at race day. I think so. 2020, obviously, the races didn't go as planned because there weren't really races. But 2019, you hit like 5 or 6 different course records and really had a great season. So hoping that 2021 will be a little bit better for getting back out at those types of things. But so Preston's done a lot to really improve his ability to perform on race day. And so one of those things that we see is people not taking adequate recovery, not really taking care of their body well. And so, Preston comes in to see us here at Body Smart to be able to do those things to get kind of the TLC that he needs to stay healthy. So tell us a little bit more about what you do in terms of recovery and why you feel like that's important.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, recovery should be just as big of a priority in your training as the actual training itself.
Right.
In a standpoint of like becoming a better athlete, that's actually when you're progressing, when your body rebuilds itself to become stronger. So if that's not a focus, I think you'll see a steady decline in performance and then not a lot of gains there. So really honing that in is really important, especially when you're moving up towards race day. So some of the things that I've really liked, and, some of these things you can do at home, and then some of these other things, are examples of why like Body Smart is a really good place to come and be able to get some of those extra super beneficial recovery modalities that's going to allow you to recover faster, train harder, and be ready for race day.
Yeah.
So, when I'm at home, I really enjoy just doing my strength training, making sure that I'm strong.
So important.
Making sure that I, getting a little bit of stretching in. If, there's some muscles that just feel a little bit off, just making sure I have good range of motion. Some of that's more the dynamic, like movements and exercises
more
that way.
Flow type movements. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just make sure I got that range of motion. And then just making sure, as well as basic as it sounds, you have your recovery days where your work isn't as hard as other days when you're doing your speed working and lifting and things like that, where you can get out and truly enjoy the sport and be able to recover and become a better athlete that way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the big advantages that I've seen, working with Body Smart PT is doing like the LIGHTSPEED lift upstairs as well. Yeah. Especially, on the topic of those easier days, be able to come in and be able to essentially be able to run on the treadmill and be able to run with less of my body weight, because it essentially with the way that it's set up, you can take body weight off and be able to run with less pounding on your legs and be able to run at the same pace at a much easier effort.
That's what I love, right? That I can maintain or sometimes even increase my pace of what I would do on a recovery day.
Yeah.
As a normal day, but have it be so much less pounding, so much less like metabolic cost as well.
Yeah. And maintaining that biomechanics of running that pace is super beneficial as far as like the gains you can get from those miles. And so it's kind of twofold benefit there, the recovery as well as the benefits of being able to maintain good biomechanics through that training.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's a super big benefit for being able to come in here and be able to train. Another thing that I have really enjoyed being able to utilize with Body Smart and with Cameron is having a stem or scraping, be able to essentially a modality where you can work on some of my muscles, aches and pains, and be able to, reduce the amount of pain and increase that recovery time with some of these aches and pains. Because obviously that's part of sport. As you're training, they're going to pop up. Or else you're probably not training hard enough, to be honest.
Right, especially at the volume that you're training at. So Preston's been 100 plus miles a week for quite a long time.
Yeah, about 3 years now.
Yeah, averaging that, he'll have some weeks or whatever that are less, or he's taken a couple of breaks in there. But for the most part, he's averaged over 100 miles, peaking at around 130-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a pretty high volume of training. And so getting some of that hands-on recovery, both at home and in clinic. So he has like a Theragun and some other things that or a gun like that. I don't know if it's that brand, but one of those recovery guns to help just keep things feeling loose and stuff like that. But getting some of that hands-on treatment really does help keep those niggles at bay. So that's one thing that I've really been impressed with is Preston make sure that he never lets the niggles get too far. He tries to nip that in the bud early on before it really becomes a problem that's interrupting his running. Mm-hmm. And so when he feels those things starting to come on, he really attacks that aggressively so that he can keep running instead of having to rest off an injury or a potential injury, right? By being able to attack that early on, he's able to train through that and maintain his volume and maintain that training load so that he's not having to take breaks and always shifting that load up and down dramatically. He can maintain that because he's doing active recovery.
Yeah. One of the other, big things that I think as far as recovery goes, and especially with specific like injuries or if you feel those niggles coming on, is utilizing the knowledge of, how we can redistribute that stress to somewhere else in your legs by utilizing different taping jobs or modifying your footwear by having heel lifts and different things like that as well, which is another thing that, utilizing the benefits of a physical therapist or a coach or somebody that can look at it holistically and be able to say like, maybe if we alter this a little bit, if you're having these Achilles problems, we can allow that to recover a little bit better by, decreasing the amount of range of motion it has to go through as you're running.
Right. Yeah. Switching up your shoes often, not just the pair of shoes, but the type of shoe, making sure that your shoe matches the type of running you're going to be doing. Right. I would assume that you're not running the same shoe that you're running on the trail that you're running on your speed workout day versus your long run day versus you probably have a different shoe that matches that type of effort for everything you're doing.
Absolutely. I have more shoes than the average runner. I think I have a lot in my closet, but I probably have 8 or 9 pairs of shoes that I cycle through that are very different shoes that I'll utilize in different cases. Yeah. And so while, that may be extreme for a lot of people, even if you just have 2 or 3 pairs of shoes that, change up things just a little bit, that's enough to allow, some of those muscles to recover and become stronger while you're maintaining, the same workload consistently. Because consistency is just as important in recovery as anything, I think, because that's how your body adapts and becomes ready to handle that load.
Absolutely. That consistency really is key. We talk about that all the time, how consistency really is the most important factor in recovery, in performance, in really staying healthy as a runner. That getting your body to tolerate those higher loads really is so critical. And so if we can keep that consistency, that's so important for race day. One of the key factors there is making sure that we're training according to our body and making sure that we're getting the help that we need when we need it so that we can keep that consistency. Any interruptions in our training plan really can be big setbacks and lead us to our next injury. So that's why we see Preston here is we want to keep him running at these high volumes and keep him healthy and keep him crushing these races. So we love to see him. At times we see him on a weekly basis. Sometimes it's a little bit longer in between, just depending on where he's at in his training cycle. Really fun to see him though. Come back from a major surgery, be able to progress, train so hard. And now, like you said, almost 3 years of training at high volumes, and he's crushing it. So really fun. If you want to run like Preston, come see us at Body Small. No, I can't guarantee that. He's put in a lot of work and a lot of training. So I didn't do that. I haven't run those miles with him.
It's a good start though.
Yeah, but we love to help people be healthy and stay on the road. And so we would love to help you. And a common running mistake we see is people not doing these things adequately enough so that they blow up and have to take time off and all those things. So if you want to avoid that common running mistake, make sure you do your recovery right. Like, follow, subscribe, and share this with somebody that you think might benefit. Thanks so much again for joining us, Preston.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, we love to see you in the clinic anytime. So join us on the next episode here at Common Running Mistakes.